Hello and welcome to Stories of Science. Here, we look back on humanity's long journey to understand the world. The questions, the failures, and the breakthroughs that slowly changed how we see the universe and ourselves. We tell science as stories.
Von Braun, the rocket genius who took humanity to the moon. Imagine a little boy. A backyard in a quiet German town. A handful of gunpowder. A homemade rocket in his tiny hands. Neighbors are lighting fireworks. He's staring at the sky. In his mind, he thinks, I'm going to make this fly higher than any spark. His name is Wernher von Braun, born in a sleepy town where life moves slow, but his dreams never did from the start. He wasn't just curious, he was obsessed with touching the stars. At night, he'd lie under the telescope, tracing imagined rocket arcs across the sky. By day, the backyard became his lab of scraps of paper, discarded tubes, gunpowder, alcohol, and weird bits of found metal. Everything was fair game. Even as a kid, he could build moving rockets with just matches and paper. Every ignition brought smoke and tiny explosions, and every time, he'd grin and say, "A little closer to the moon." His parents? Torn between worry and curiosity. A rocket exploded. They rushed out with brooms, sweeping ashes, silently praying, "Please don't hit the house." And there he was, hopping around like it was New Year's Eve on Earth. Neighbors would spot the smoke and think, the house is on fire. Sometimes, someone even called the fire brigade. The sirens became part of his audience. From the window, he'd peek and chuckle, they just don't get it. This is science. That backyard was his playground, his laboratory, his miniature rocket factory. Failures happened, lots of them. Rockets shattered. Pieces flew, but he never stopped. Failure was a sign of progress, a step closer to the dream. He mixed fuels, adjusted nozzles, studied airflow, aerodynamics, propulsion, chemistry. Big words, yes, but he was learning them in real time. At night, he'd lie on the grass, staring at the stars. Other kids played. He planned missions or rockets through the atmosphere, to the moon, maybe even Mars. Teachers thought he was odd. But in Werner's mind, the whole universe was his classroom. Lighting little rockets from the window, he turned every explosion into a mini festival of flames, smoke, crackles. Each one fed his imagination. One day, a rocket exploded bigger than expected. Neighbors ran out yelling. He laughed in a corner until he doubled over. Science always involves risk. These wild experiments weren't just fun, they taught patience, creativity, and how to think like an engineer. He learned about materials, fuels, aerodynamics, and even risk management. Every failure recorded, every experiment analyzed. In that small backyard, a full rocket research cycle was taking shape. No one in that German town could stop him. His lab was a little universe, fireworks and rockets intertwined, danger and joy mixed together. Every flash of fire was a spark of his dreams. Childhood Wernher von Braun was like a tiny magician, turning gunpowder and stars into play, and play into the foundation of science. He didn't know what the future held, but one thing was certain, the rockets had to fly. And his dreams? Brighter than fireworks, wider than the night sky. Young Wernher treated the lab like a playground. Rockets were slides. Every ignition was a thrill ride. He joined the German Rocket Society, the VFR, finally part of a real rocket squad. No textbooks here. Only smoke, sparks, and daring experiments. He loved to push boundaries, new fuels, different nozzles, strange propulsion methods. If it could fly or explode, he wanted to try it. Half of his rockets blew up, boom shook the windows, flames and smoke filled the room. His peers? A mix of awe and fear. Some stepped back, watching him like he was performing in a circus. Careful. This is 10 times more dangerous than biking. Someone yelled. He just smiled, one step closer to Mars. Every explosion thrilled him like winning the lottery. Flying shards made him jump as if the universe itself was celebrating. Smoke and laughter mixed in the air, vibrating the room. He adjusted designs, noted every failure, tweaked nozzle angles, tweaked fuel ratios. Try again. Failure wasn't the end. It was the springboard to success. Gradually, the team learned his rhythm. Wernher led. Inspired. He dared what others wouldn't, turning wild ideas into testable experiments. Sometimes, he risked the most dangerous rockets himself. His teammates' hearts raced, but they respected his courage. He wasn't just learning science. He learned leadership. Problem solving under chaos. Rocket explosions? Damage control became second nature. This tiny lab was a crash course in running big projects. Every test, an adventure. As sparks flew, smoke curled, sometimes the team hid, sometimes cheered. He didn't mind failures, each explosion was a leap toward dreams, fuel flames traced paths to the stars, science and joy blurred, each blast a festival, each wisp of smoke, magic. With time, his experiments became systematic, more complex rockets, testing altitude, stability, durability. The team fell in line, someone handled tools, someone recorded data, someone cleaned powder residue. The lab became a miniature space factory. Rockets grew bigger. Tests became riskier, but he never flinched. Failures were analyzed, designs tweaked, attempts repeated. Successes made him smile like he'd conquered the world. Wernher's youth was wild, risky, exhilarating. Every explosion, flame, and puff of smoke trained him to be a real rocket scientist. He mastered science, leadership, patience, adventure. Most importantly, he learned to place dreams amid the fire, letting them lift off, bit by bit. Then reality knocked. Your dreams might get bought by the government, and come with a steel helmet. This was Wernher von Braun's life point. 1933. Nazis' rise to power. Germany changed. His town changed. His rocket dreams? Still alive, but the world around them was complicated. He still loved rockets. Still tinkered in the VFR lab, but politics shadowed everything. Resources, funding, orders, all dictated from above. The science, paired with steel helmets, made an absurd mix. Wernher worked on the V-2 rockets, the first long-range missiles. Rocket tech advanced fast in new fuels, nozzle tweaks, thrust adjustments. Each design was a breakthrough, but breakthroughs came under the shadow of war. Rockets could reach the stars, while the cities of science could save lives or take them. Smoke from the lab felt like war creeping in through the windows. Colleagues admired his talent but feared his audacity. Test launches brought explosions and data side by side. Political orders often made him more nervous than rocket failures. He had to compromise. The scientist met power and felt its weight. Technology wasn't just a tool. It was like a prop in a drama, capable of great good or immense harm. Every approval, every signature, he silently asked himself, can I control this? Will it bring hope or disaster? Experiments continued. Rockets grew longer, fuels more efficient, nozzles sharper. The team operated like a band. Each member had a role: fuel, engines, trajectory calculations. Launches sent flames skyward, smoke curling around tables piled with charts. Outside, war shadows stretched longer. Wernher learned to balance ideals with reality. To walk the tightrope between orders and ethics. He minimized danger, protected his team, controlled rocket power, but knew some things were beyond him. Sometimes, he laughed a little bitterly at dreams and steel helmets, ideals and reality, absurd enough to make you cry and laugh at once. He'd tell colleagues, we're not building weapons, we're building the future. Everyone understood. Rockets soared higher, responsibilities grew heavier. War pushed tech, pressed hearts. He refined engines, fuel, flight stability. Every success brought pride. Every launch bore moral weight. Science gave power. Responsibility gave gravity. Wernher's youth was a complex canvas: fire, smoke, orders, experiments. He still loved rockets, still sought breakthroughs. Every ignition carried thought, caution, hope. War and politics complicated dreams, but never extinguished the flame. Rockets kept climbing, and Wernher? He kept searching for balance, letting his visions fly amid fire and smoke. Braun's rockets could soar across the Atlantic, but no rocket could carry the weight of his conscience. War arrived, and the V-2 became the Nazis' secret weapon. These rockets were like superheroes, blazing fast, unstoppable, but unlike comic book heroes, they had no liability insurance. They could flatten cities, but they couldn't shield the inventor's soul. He designed rockets with uncanny precision. Test flights almost always hit their mark. On lab monitors, the trajectories were perfect curves. Braun felt a quiet pride, but it was tangled with deep unease. Every success came with headlines about civilian casualties. Pride and cruelty collided in his mind like crashing waves. Some team members cheered. Others stayed silent. Engineers debated propulsion systems, fuel efficiency. Braun often sighed alone. In his diary, he wrote, "Is this technology magic, or a curse?" In the lab, he watched engines roar like beasts. Every launch made him reflect. Science's pride and war's brutality. It was a stark contrast. He asked himself, again and again, are we advancing human civilization, or aiding the devil? Some colleagues began to question too, was it moral to keep pushing the project? Discussions were like unsolvable equations, no clear answers. The lab was a stage as sparks flew, machines hummed. Braun played director and actor at once. Every rocket launch was a superhero moment. In his mind, he calculated risks, gains, responsibility. Responsibility, unlike rockets, came with no safety net. He learned to live with the contradiction. Scientific ideals clashed with the reality of war. Rocket designs, propulsion, flight paths all meticulously calculated, yet each rocket brought destruction in its wake. Braun realized technology is never neutral. It carries dreams and destruction. Inside the team, divisions grew. Some engineers chased perfect trajectories, others refused more test launches on ethical grounds. Braun was stuck in the middle, leading, calming, guiding. On the blackboard, he drew trajectories, but in his head, he calculated another equation: morality versus responsibility. Sometimes he slipped out of the lab, stood by the window, looking at the sky. Rockets streaked across, light cutting through the night, but the shadow in his mind was longer than any rocket trail. He wrote it all down: technical triumphs, moral turmoil. Once, a test flight was a smashing success, colleagues cheered. He stayed silent. The rocket flew like a superhero, leaving a luminous trail. Braun knew that light marked countless lives he could never restore. He buried his face in his hands, confessing to his own creation. War made rockets fly faster. It also made scientists' hearts heavier. He learned that with power comes responsibility. Each ignition was a careful weighing of costs and benefits. Every success came with a psychological toll. The lab's sparks were a reminder: great power, greater responsibility. Eventually, he learned to move forward despite the contradictions. To keep improving rockets, but keep moral boundaries intact. Diaries, formulas, blueprints, they carried his reflections. Rockets were magic and sometimes a curse. Braun's youth was both brilliant and burdened. Science and war, pride and conscience all intertwined in fire. World War II ended, the smoke cleared, but the streets still smelled of gunpowder. Braun and his team were taken by the Americans. They joined a deceptively gentle Operation Paperclip. It sounded like stationary, but they were now the engines of the U.S. rocket program. From German furnaces to American moon dreams, their passports moved faster than rockets. Rocket ambitions were packed like luggage, carried along the Atlantic. Touchdown in America. The New World culture shock hit immediately. A breakfast was eggs and sausages. He nearly wiped his hands on rocket diagrams. Even scientists had first day on the job awkwardness. The Cold War loomed. America needed tech, rockets, victory. Braun's team became central. Missile research, rocket improvements, civilian space exploration all fell on their shoulders. The lab buzzed with engines, spreadsheets, and coffee aroma. Braun was like a conductor: no baton, only rockets and equations guiding his orchestra. Adjusting to a new world took time. Language barriers, cultural gaps, historical shadows, they all stressed the team. Reporters watched like magnifying glasses. They were German scientists, now American stars. Public understanding was limited. Genius is sometimes inseparable from politics. Braun still loved experiments, adjusting propulsion systems while nibbling on eggs. Rocket models, blueprints, formulas, they were his lifelong companions. Every ignition, flames soared, eyes sparkled, colleagues joked, "You're a rocket junkie." He didn't mind. Calculations raced in his mind. The team started missile research. Braun's experience became highly valued in American space circles. From liquid fuels to solid boosters, he mastered it all. Every experiment was like opening a present. Failures frowned upon him briefly, then he laughed. "Try again, this one flies higher." Success? A secret victory dance in his office. The higher the rocket, the brighter his dream. Civilian space exploration moved forward too. Braun knew rockets weren't just weapons, they could take humans to the moon. He planned lunar missions, space stations, scientific experiments. Colleagues teased, "Do you dream of rockets dancing in the sky every night?" He smiled, "I steady, dreams always outweigh obstacles." Team bonds strengthened. Hot dogs, trajectory debates, late-night engine tweaks, cultural differences became humor. Braun threw his first American party, nearly knocked over a rocket model. Dancing, laughter mixed with machine hums. Even scientists' lives had absurdity and joy. Journalists arrived occasionally. "Why come to America?" Braun grinned, "Bigger labs, stronger coffee." Answers were subtler than launching rockets: public curiosity about the past, hope for the future. Every rocket test was watched: missile launches, trajectory optimizations, engine tweaks, precision and tension. Braun was a magician, turning complex math into fiery liftoffs. The team followed, learning, calculating, improving. If failure was normal. But after each explosion, closer to the target. At night, the lab glowed. Braun gazed at models, imagining the future: Moon, Mars, space stations. War's shadow gone, responsibility remained. Every launch wasn't just science, it was a dream's extension. From German sparks to American labs, his journey mirrored a rocket's path. Wisdom, experience, humor, they propelled the team. The higher the rocket, the stronger the dream. Passports faster than rockets, dreams farther than passports. Braun knew he was writing humanity's first lunar formula. NASA awaited new labs, new colleagues, machines more complex than rockets. He was tasked with the Saturn V, the ultimate lunar rocket, not a toy. A VIP highway to the moon. Office battles were rocket showdowns. Colleagues compared models, fuel, trajectories. Braun was the rocket CEO, meetings more intense than launches. Coffee? Not in hand. Blueprints and formulas, yes, coffee machines mistaken for fuel testers. Everyone cautious. Challenges bigger than Germany. Saturn V's fuel complex, propulsion massive, navigation precision critical. One misstep could ruin the mission. Hundreds of issues to solve. Every part, every tube, every screw, potential make or break. Tests meticulous. Engines fired on ground, vibrations measured, temps checked, fuel flows recorded. Every test like an artist admiring a painting. Of flames rose, monitors danced a symphony. Success not a team of failure. Frown, tweak, smile, again, this time steadier. His leadership awe-inspiring. Hundreds coordinated like a symphony. Design, fuel, control, simulations, all linked. Braun was a seasoned captain at the helm, storm or calm, unshaken. Science and foresight his greatest weapons. Every launch, safety and reliability top priority. Pre-flight, every blueprint double-checked, every test, trajectory and fuel calculated in his head. Mass, thrust, burn rate, every number precise. Lab tense but humorous. Team joked. Braun, will your rocket outpace our salaries? He smiled, eyes on screens. Every launch, birthday party of tension and excitement. Failure inevitable, laughter inevitable. Saturn V, technical marvel, human dream challenge. Break gravity, control limits, material limits. Braun reminded, rockets must fly high and safe. Team knew, responsibility to humanity. Every optimization mattered. Fuel pipes too long? Redesigned. Navigation off? Program rewritten. Every tweak ensured lunar success. Eyes fiery as launch flames. Team morale vital. Exhausted? He joked, imagine chocolate ice cream on the moon. Laughter revived spirits. Rocket showdowns continued. Laughs, formulas, fire in lab. Apollo demanded more than rockets: coordination, resources, launch timing critical. Braun a master strategist, explaining complex systems simply. Abstract propulsion? Everyone understood. Saturn V took shape. Engines assembled, fuel systems ready, components tested hundreds of times. Simulations daily, every ignition a step closer to the moon. Braun's vision went beyond tech. This was a contest of science and dreams. Rockets weren't just transport, they proved humans dare to push limits. Every glance at Saturn V models, moon, stars, space stations waiting. Blueprints stacked like mountains. Coffee-scented debates over fuel, laughter echoing. Rocket success relied on human unity, wisdom, experience, humor. Teams synchronized. Each ignition, VIP gateway for Earth. Saturn V airborne, humanity touches lunar dust. At night, Braun stared at stars. Rockets on paper, dreams in mind. To Apollo forming, every step closer to the moon. To each launch, declaration to the unknown. Rockets not mere machines, symbols of human daring. Every centimeter. Saturn V, crystallized wisdom, every second burning fuel. Team effort. The higher the rocket, the brighter the dream. He smiled, calculating the next liftoff. The moon waited. 1969. Apollo 11 is finally ready to fly. The control room is lit like Broadway, buzzing with tension. One wrong move and it could all go sideways. Wernher von Braun stands in the corner, coffee in hand, eyes locked on the Saturn V. Decades of experiments, failures, tweaks, it's all condensed into this towering machine. The ignition of the roar rips through the night like a freight train. Von Braun's heart races. He forces himself to stay calm. Colleagues hold their breath, fingers flying over instruments. In his head, he whispers, "Go on, my children. Fly." The rocket lifts off, leaving Earth behind. His smoke, fire, and sound clash in a symphony of power. A quiet smile spreads across his face, not a maniacal laugh, just a small, private joy. It's the continuation of a dream he first sparked as a boy in a German backyard, watching fireworks soar. On the screens, The trajectory tracks perfectly. Neil Armstrong steps onto the moon. History unfolds in real time. Von Braun watches quietly, feeling a weightless mix of pride and nostalgia. He's back in that small town, that small backyard, that first spark of curiosity. Around him, colleagues cheer, jump, and hug. He lets out a quiet whoop, a secret fan in the lab. I knew it would work, he thinks. This is more than a technical triumph. It's a victory for dreams, patience, teamwork. Every engineer, every calculation, every adjustment leaves its mark on the moon's dusty surface. Von Braun's gaze is soft yet firm. He sees the rocket, the team, humanity's future, moon landing, the perfect marriage of human curiosity and technology. He recalls the German lab explosions, the smoke, the sparks. Now, all that chaos is just moon dust. Reporters chatter in the background. Cameras snap. Von Braun leans back, smiles quietly. I didn't know it could feel this good. He thinks decades of persistence have flown higher than anyone imagined. He doesn't stop. Not yet. Humanity's journey has only begun. He continues to watch rockets, space, the future. Every child staring at the stars makes him proud. Dreams, after all, need to be passed on like the flame of a rocket lighting the way. Retirement doesn't slow him down. His days are scheduled with military precision. Just now the fuel is speeches, public talks, mentoring, not engines. Von Braun becomes a bridge for space culture, a mentor to young scientists. On stage, no rockets in hand, but the podium is his new launchpad. Each lecture, a fresh ignition. Nervousness, excitement, anticipation. Audience holding their breath. He explains rocket science with humor. Fuel flow formulas? Rocket energy drinks. Propulsion systems? Rocket legs. Laughter ripples through the room. Notebooks fill with cartoons instead of numbers. Von Braun's quiet pride. This feels better than launching Saturn V. Public speaking is trickier than launch day. He waves hands wildly, energy rivaling a rocket ignition. Some students stare wide-eyed, like it's their first rocket launch. He knows that's the magic of science. Sparking curiosity beats even the thrill of a launch. Von Braun promotes private space ventures, funds youth projects, encourages hands-on exploration. He stresses teamwork and innovation, the same values that built rockets. His late years are a flurry of schedules. Talks, interviews, mentoring, planning. Space doesn't wait, and neither can I, he jokes. Audience laughter, storytelling, rocket legends. He turns serious science into an adventure. Launches may have ended, but his universe never stops. He teaches people not just to launch rockets, but to lift their dreams. Even on stage, he's watching Saturn V soar in his mind. Every lecture, a spark toward the future. His smile holds both the wisdom of a scientist and the joy of a child. Von Braun knows the true legacy isn't the rockets. It's dreams, passion, persistence, and passing knowledge to the next generation. Every flame of curiosity in a young mind might soar higher than Saturn V. He proves that science and dreams can ride the same trajectory straight to the stars. Von Braun's life is brilliance and controversy intertwined. During the Nazi era, he helped develop the V-2 rocket. People ask, genius or moral gray area? Laboratory launches brimmed with passion. Real life delivered destruction, civilians harmed, laborers exploited, cities damaged. His achievements shadowed by human cost. History judges like a launch sequence. Any step could explode. Scholars debate, hero or morally ambiguous innovator. No simple answers. Von Braun might have joked, science is harder than math sometimes. He wrestled with ethics, penning questions in diaries. Technology can save, it can destroy. A question haunting every design. Colleagues often felt torn, pride in rockets, guilt over war. He understood no one escapes politics or ethics. Even pure science bends under reality. He learned to navigate the gray, balancing ideal and real. His smile carries both confidence and human doubt. Every successful launch thrilled him, yet he knew excitement had a cost. Rockets soar, dreams touch the sky. Humanity and history do not leave so easily. This is the complex charm of von Braun. Innovator and ethical mirror. Scholars still debate him, hero or emblem of gray science. His life teaches science and ethics always intertwine. Breakthroughs bring dilemmas. Scientists' choices are often harder than rockets. His gift to posterity, not just inventions, but deep reflection. Von Braun's legacy isn't Saturn V or lunar footprints. It's a mindset, a rocket spirit, from a German boy with backyard fireworks to a man who helped humanity touch the moon. His story is about dreams and effort. Dreams can be heavier than the Earth, but worth carrying. A rocket spirit means perseverance, exploration, and pushing limits. Modern space travel, private space ventures, and exploration all carry his shadow. Every launch, every mission, a continuation of his spirit. Von Braun knew dreams need passing on. He encouraged young scientists to embrace failure and challenges. Like rockets, dreams sometimes burn fiercely, unstoppable. He might have laughed, "Don't forget your hard hat. Exploration is thrilling, but caution is wise." His story teaches effort's weight can be heavier than the Earth, but it's that weight that makes flight meaningful. Von Braun shows that science and dreams can soar together, letting humans reach the stars. His spirit flies higher than rockets, lighting the way for countless others. Every gaze at the night sky carries a spark of him. The rocket's flame becomes the flame of dreams. Von Braun's life reminds us, chasing dreams is tough, but never lonely. Dreams take flight. Effort follows. Rockets and spirit rise as one.
The people who change the world usually just think one step deeper. If this story made you see things differently, hit like, subscribe, and save it. See you in the next story.